that when you're ready.
Okay. All right. What is going on, everybody? All fired up. What's up, my man? Timothy, what's going on? We are on air. Let's see. Cool. What is going on, everyone? It is Monday. Live time. Okay, cool. What is up? Okay, we want to see this week if the chat has decided to work, because we still have not switched from Restream, which has been giving us a lot of issues. They only raised $50 million. If you are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, say hi. Say hello. I want to see if the messages are working this time. You know what I can also do? Deirdre, I could probably just like pull up Facebook and YouTube, right? No.
Don't do that. Can you see it? Can you see the chat?
Oh, yeah, I can see. Deirdre says hello. Chase says, oh, we're starting on time today. Barely. How's it going, Kirsten? Connor says, how could I get captions to work? I'm in school right now. Not sure what that means. But what's up, Connor? Our lighting looks premium according to Chase. I got to look up here so the comments. So we got our cameras going here. So yeah, the team, Logan and Deirdre, did a great job with the lights. We got, what kind of lights are these? I was gonna let the people know about the lights.
What do you mean?
They're just camera lights.
They're the good kind.
They're the good kind of camera lights that you get off Amazon for $70. So we have 3 kind of set up here. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we got some. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's 3. Deirdre put up this setup here. We got 3 areas on this map: Austin, Boston, and Philly. I'm from Philly. Deirdre's from Boston, so it's supposed to be subliminal or something, but it looks really nice. So, all right, cool stuff. Raya says hello. Is that your niece? It says Raya Biddle.
Yeah.
What's up, Raya? I don't think captions will work on a live stream. No, they do. They do, Chase. I think this is the captions that are being referred to. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to answer some questions today. I know we've gotten a lot of questions over the last week. And whenever I go into these live streams, I don't really have anything planned. I'm not like, oh, we're going to talk about this specifically. So kind of like free flow here, answer some of the questions that come through, and then drop the link. If any of you guys want to go live, what's that?
You do it. It doesn't work when other people drop links. So you have to copy the link and paste it in the chat.
Yeah, where's the link if anyone wants to go live? How do I do that? Invite guests and then copy. Cool. Okay. So if you do want to go live, make sure you have good audio and good video. There's the link. Just popped it. All right. Facebook user says very tranquil lighting. That is Deirdre and Logan's work right there. Okay. Mash says, did you completely shut down the other business, or do you have someone supervising it while you do this project? So Mash, I'm not exactly sure what business you're referring to. If you're referring to my business that I own, Told Media, my software development agency, the team is running that, all the client projects that we have. They're doing a really good job. I do check in on projects and team members to make sure everything's going well. But for the most part, it's been amazing to be able to just like walk away and have everything not totally fall apart. It's been really great. So if you're referring to that, Mash, hopefully that answers your question. We got some people on IG. We got Chase blowing up the IG saying IG is dead. We got 3 people on there. Okay, cool. So right, that one. Correct. Okay, so Mash, yeah, it's still running. Like I said, just do some check-ins and whatnot. So I want to give you guys some updates on what is going on thus far with the the project. What did we talk about in our last live stream? Where did we leave off?
You were just talking about the dog company with that guy.
Oh yeah, the dog company. So, as you guys know, starting a coffee company for dog lovers specifically. Me and my girlfriend have a rescue.
Oh, a
A rescue dog. Deirdre wanted me to clarify. We don't own a rescue. That is good portion of the inspiration behind the company. And the coffee is officially bagged. It's officially in bags, ready to go out the door. I've been facing a lot of issues though with my Shopify developer, who I officially fired this morning. Really excited about that because the person that's replacing him has a lot of experience and hopefully can actually do what he's going to say. So that's moving in a good direction. Also, the rent hack was somewhat pulled off successfully thus far. It is now, what is it, the 9th? I believe today's November 9th. I'm officially move in on the 15th. That's when the lease starts. We already have one person that has signed a lease, has paid $900 for the rent for the room. So we have 2 more rooms to rent. I think we'll have the second lease signed early this week. Money in the bank, which would mean we would only need 1 more room, which would also mean if we just sign those 2 rooms, rent's pretty much covered at $2,000 a month, right? So I am putting $1,000, probably about $1,000 into furnishing the place, at least. So gonna get, I want it to be a really good work environment, really good collaborative environment. Gonna hang some whiteboards, gonna have a conference table in there, gonna have some tables, desks. I'm making this kind of like an e-commerce house. I want this to be an e-com house in Austin, Texas. And my goal is going to be to hopefully open more of these houses, get some really amazing advisors on board, and potentially that might be a business I could potentially scale and actually acquire properties and partner with real estate investors. We'll see. We'll see how re-renting goes. Jaduke says, I'm in school right now, and I'm sure other people are too. Super cool, man. Chase asked, did you toss in an act of God clause in case we get COVID? No, I did not, but that's a good thing to think about. So yeah, everything's going really great right now with all the rent hack stuff. It has been taking me a little bit of time. I've been spending a little bit too much time just looking for deals on Craigslist and stuff. I've been going to the free section. I know I'm going to get a good couch, hopefully, off the free section. We'll see, though. We'll see what we're able to get from there. I've also been looking for MacBooks. So in the market right now for a MacBook Pro, I screwed up this weekend. I screwed up big time with this MacBook this weekend. I got an amazing deal on a MacBook. It was a 2017 15-inch 16 gig RAM MacBook Pro, and I got him down to 900, and I was like, would you do 850 for it? And I took 3 hours to get back to him after he said yes to 900, and then someone else had bought it. I was like, shit. Sometimes, guys, you don't want to be too greedy, and in that situation, I got too greedy. Just for reference, anyone that's knows anything about MacBooks and that type of MacBook specifically probably could have sold for about $1,300 if I wanted to resell it versus keep it for myself. So kind of screwed that up. Cool stuff. So I guess someone else is in school and they said, I look like an idiot. I forgot headphones and I'm in school, so my phone speaker is against my ear. Connor, step your game up, man. That's hilarious. Okay, cool. Let me get to some of these. So that's what's going on in the land of DC. What I'm doing this week, my goal this week, because we're so behind on getting these bags of coffee out the door, is to start getting bags of coffee out the door. So what I want to do, I finally figured out the sticker stuff. It was a complete nightmare, but I was able to pull off getting these stickers printed. the sticker thing is crazy. Like if you want to go print stickers and you have different labels, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Like I was getting quoted like at minimum 35 cents a label, which is a lot when you have a front and back, right? That's a lot of money. That means that's like 70 cents just in stickers on every single bag of coffee. That's honestly absurd. That's not a good way to get off the ground. If you're selling a $15 bag of coffee, $16 bag of coffee, and you're spending close to $1 on stickers, it's a lot. So I was like, okay, well, why don't I try to print it myself? I got a printer from B&H Photo with a return policy. I had to return that printer because it wasn't able to print good quality. Then I went to FedEx. I was like, okay, maybe I get these printed at FedEx. And unfortunately, I learned the world of printing stickers is not as easy as it sounds, according to the people of Reddit. And you had to like align them perfectly with FedEx, and it just didn't work. So went to UPS, a couple of UPSs, and we finally I was able to figure out how to do this. So, and my initial stickers, I guess UPS is going to be where I'm going to be printing these. Not really a long-term solution. I would like to just hire a company to do it long-term, but I don't know what these come out to now per sticker. It's significantly less than 35 cents a sticker. So that's a big win. So all the bags now are going to have stickers. They'll be ready to go out the door. Next step now is to do the creative work. So I need to take all the photos. I need to put it up on the website, and I need to start posting on social media and doing outreach because we're going to be doing a lot of influencer campaigns. So that's what's going on. John says, I think if you've done the rent hack once, you can mirror the system again and again. Absolutely, John. Once you do this once, this is something that you can absolutely do again and again. And actually, it becomes significantly easier to do it again and again. Now, John, I'm calling this a rent hack. If I build a business out of it, it's not a rent hack. The reason I refer to it as a rent hack is for all of you guys watching that are like, maybe I'd love to live rent free. Maybe I'd love to live with cool people. This is something that you can do. Like you can go do this. You can find a house in the burbs, $2,000, 2,500 square feet or more, and you can do the same thing. And you can live with really cool people and you live rent free. Now, in my situation, not only am I going to be living rent free, if we do all the math here, we're paying $2,000 a month, renting out the rooms for $900 each. So we should be at like $2,700 a month. Plus I get a free room. Now I have to get 20% of profit to my credit partner. If you don't need to get a credit partner to co-sign, if you don't need a money partner, then you don't have to worry about those things. But if you do, I got a co-signer to be my credit partner, because even though I have a really good credit score for the project, we're assuming that's not the case. So 20%, I'm assuming my room is revenue. So I do have to include that. So if we do 900 times 4, and maybe my room will be less because I'm going to take the shittiest room possible. So maybe $800, but really, not that big of a difference. Let's just say it's 900 times 4. Then we're at 3,600, and that's 1,600 in profit. So that means $320 a month would end up going to my credit partner before any other expenses, which there are other expenses involved, like the upfront furnishing costs. That's going to cost me maybe like $1,000 or more. I'm going to take care of like lawn care. That's going to be an expense, things like that. So at the end of the day, my credit partner is going to make $300 a month, which is hilarious, by the way, guys. The person that co-signed doesn't actually have really much risk because I actually have a good credit score. I didn't need him to co-sign, so he got a really good deal. But he's going to get $300 a month, doesn't do anything. And if we do the math here, so we're at 300 minus 2,700, that's $2,400 to me, minus 2,000, that's $400 to me after, we'll call it expenses. So rent free and $400 and living with cool people. And I get to tell people like, hey, I run this e-com house. How freaking cool is that? You guys can do this too. Now there is risk involved, obviously. There's definitely risk involved. I'm responsible if people don't pay on time. I'm responsible if something bad happens. but I'm doing it. I structure an LLC, doing it through an LLC. I'm going to be living there, so I'm more in control of things. But if I want to build a business out of this, right? If I want to build a business out of this, like it's gonna be a pretty profitable business. Like every single house we open, if we could do $1,600 a month and in profit just from rent collection, not any other types of revenue sources, because if you think about it, you could start opening up a lot of other revenue source, right? Like, okay, what if you actually build this amazing network? What if you build this amazing network of people that are e-commerce business owners in your local area or across the nation? Maybe you're not just making revenue just from rent collection. Maybe you're making revenue from membership collection for people that don't live in the house, or I don't know, some type of like events that you hold, or other different revenue sources, and it can be pretty profitable. So this is something, by the way, guys, like I didn't do this project. This isn't something I came up with as an idea like while I was doing this project. Flipping couches on Craigslist and putting them on Facebook Marketplace without ever touching them, that's something I literally came up with during this project on day 2. Came up with it and I was like, wow, this could work, and it worked. This, though, is something I've always wanted to do. I was like, this would be really cool to like create, say, like an e-com house or a tech house, and create all these different houses and scale them throughout the US. And then it's in investment properties. So I'm pretty excited about it. Very, very excited about it. We have some questions coming through here. Joseph says, oh, you're talking about my favorite thing, rent hacking. Of course, Joseph. It's my favorite thing too. Jeff says, a little hard to read here, was recommended by a friend, and having watched, how do I do this? There we go. I pinned your comment, Jeff. That didn't really work out well, though. Let's unpin that. Was recommended by a friend and have watched all your episodes every morning for daily mindset motivation, getting back into the routine of working hard. And part of it is reading every morning. Napoleon Hill, Chris Voss, Gary Vee, etc. Do you have any suggestions on books that help during adversity or growth? Jeff, I've read books. I love audiobooks. I am more on the execution side of learning than like reading a book and learning. Although I love, listening to an audiobook every once in a while. It's not really completely how I learn. Another book I would add to that list would be, I really like Russell Brunson's books for marketing specifically, if you're looking at growth. So like .com Secrets and Expert Secrets, both really great books. But I don't love just like blindly reading books unless like you're doing something specific. Like if I was looking to, I don't know, start running Facebook ads, maybe I'll read .com Secrets or Expert Secrets before, like once I'm at that stage, you know what I mean? I'm not just going to read it and be like, okay, I'm so happy I know that now. Like I think it's very dangerous to just go around getting like this instant gratification of learning something that you're not going to ever apply for years and years, and then you might have to go reread it anyway. And I think people convince themselves a lot of the time that they made a lot of progress from this instant gratification of learning something new that they never really end up applying. And I think that's a very dangerous thing. Just my opinion. I much rather, Jeff, be like, you know what? I'm going to take $500 and try something and go just freaking do it and plan on losing all $500, but go do something super cool that I want to learn. And then it's like, instead of spending $500 on a course, I just spent $500 on like learning something and actually executing. That's like something to consider. So I don't know what it is that you're trying to learn right now specifically. I mean, if you're looking for mindset, motivation, I think like you can find a lot of that on YouTube. Napoleon Hill's good, which you mentioned. I like Win Friends and Influence Others is a really good one. I really like for like sales, a book called Pitch Anything by Aaron Claff. That's a great book. So hope that's helpful. Chase asked, did you check out the Dymo 4XL? Not sure what that is, Chase. Not on your level of nerd here. Oh, it's a printer. No, I'm not a printer nerd. Honestly, I think it was pretty dumb that I tried to get a printer. I'm pretty stupid when it comes to technical things like that. um, so it was, definitely a risk for sure. Okay. Connor asked, "Do you think Shopify is helpful?" Yeah, for sure, man. What does Shopify do for you that you can't do yourself? Okay, so Shopify is what's, I believe it's called a CMS, a content management system. So, like if I want to sell a product, what you used to have to do is like throw up a store. I mean, back in the day, I remember Yahoo created a product for e-commerce. I remember BigCommerce, Volusion. Those were softwares that you use to build e-commerce stores. Yahoo, I don't think they still run their e-commerce platform. But this was years ago. This was when I was like 16, when I was like really getting into this stuff. I think Volusion and BigCommerce still exist. But the thing is, with Shopify is amazing. Like, they have all these apps. You can very easily, very quickly throw up a store. So for me, Connor, I don't know how else I would sell product. Like, I could throw up a web page with Wix maybe and like put a PayPal link there, but all the apps and all the ease of use is not going to be included in what Shopify offers. So paying the $30 a month for a Shopify subscription is super worth it. If you want to scale and like offer a lot of different stuff and be able to give discount codes and all that stuff, again, Shopify is gonna be great. Highly recommend it. This is my first Shopify store I've ever built. So I haven't, quite honestly, like, I hired someone in the Philippines and I was like really hoping to just lean on this person. And unfortunately I had to fire him. I'm sure it's like pretty easy to learn. I just haven't really wanted to spend a ton of time learning it. But the apps that we've installed that I've taken a look at seem like pretty awesome. So definitely something to look into if you're building an e-commerce store. There's a reason they're the number one e-commerce platform, right? But yeah, so getting back to the rent hack I was talking about, I think I was actually talking to Logan here about this, and I was like, dude, this is actually something I've always wanted to do. It'd be super cool to like build a community of like really cool people, but you have to be careful. It all comes down to the people you put in the house, right? And what sucks is, like, during this project, we had this vanity metric of $1 million. And the real estate game is a slow game. And it's funny because, like, I'm the opposite on all this stuff. I'm happy to play a slow game. I don't care to make $1 million in a year. That was never, ever, ever a goal that I've like truly had. And if I wasn't doing this project, I'd be happy to like slowly build something like this over time. But I think it'll be interesting. Like, I think in the next 10 years, you'll see more and more co-living type stuff popping up. And I think, again, if you can do a good job as a company of pretty much curating the types of people that live together, I think you can offer a lot of value to people that weren't there before. And it can be so beneficial. Like, when you are living with people that are similar to you in terms of like in my case, for example, like, I would get a lot of value out of living with other people that run businesses, that are really into personal development, that are really, really interested in making an impact and giving back, that are really, maybe they run agencies. Like, if I was just focused on Toll Media, I want to build Toll Media a $10 million business. Well, guess what's going to help? Like, hanging around people that are in the process of building their business to 10 million, that have, maybe they're doing 3 million, 8 million, maybe they're at 10 million. Like, that'd be a lot of value in actually living with people that have already done that. They say that, like, you're a product of the 5 people you hang around. Well, if you live with 5 people that are doing what you want to do, maybe you become a product of that. If you're literally living it. So something to consider. So we got a question from Facebook. It says, "This is Brandon. As I keep talking with agency owners, I find myself getting pushback about not having a competitive advantage because I don't have a background in web or app development and don't know much about it. I was also told that I never want to be a commodity. I know you focus on niching down to combat that, but I'm hoping you can deep dive on your thoughts here. You seem willing to jump into industries you know little to nothing about, like digital marketing, and it goes against conventional knowledge and the advice I find everyone else giving me, which is basically that business is hard, and because I don't have any unique advantage in the industry, I'm unlikely to succeed. Okay, so Brandon, my first thought is fuck them. Anyone that's giving you that advice, I would be very careful with who you take advice from. The second thing is like you need to have some form of a competitive advantage, right? Like I think my advantage personally is like, and the reason I can go and jump into something without having a lot of experience is I know how to run an agency. Once you know how to run an agency, and that's not just like, that's from like everything to like, I know how to operate, I know how to like sign deals, etc. to I know how to get someone on the phone and how to actually solve their problem. Like running an agency, no matter what the agency is problem solving, period. So like, Brandon, you got to get good at problem solving. You got to get good at sales. Like if I started an accounting practice, for example, which I almost started an accounting practice at the beginning of the project on like day 5. If I started an accounting practice, like I can jump on a call with someone and talk accounting with them and like really hear their problems out. So what you need to get good at, Brandon, is like getting on calls with potential clients, hearing out their problems, helping them solve it. Now, in the early stages when you don't know enough about, say, like product development or building one of those types of companies, app development, it's important to lean on someone very technical that can help on those calls. So in the instance, now it's really interesting because I can listen to someone without having personal technical knowledge, and I can still somewhat solve their problem by leaning on someone technical. I'm going to try to think of something like that I totally don't know. Like, I don't know, like electrical engineering. If someone needed help with electrical engineering and I started a company doing that, and I had someone very technical that was my electrical engineer, I'd bring him on a call. Before the call, I'd say like, hey, what types of questions do we need to ask to solve this guy's issues that he's saying in this message before the call, blah, blah, blah. We would talk a little bit about it, and I would just tell him like, hey, senior electrical engineer, I'm going to like ask him some questions. Then you jump in if I go silent to really like figure out like what we have to do. So as he would kind of ask those more technical questions, I would listen, and I would, whenever I thought useful, would jump in and ask more clarifying questions. When you're problem solving, when you're a consultant, you need to ask clarifying questions. You need to create hypotheses. Like my hypothesis is this is your problem. A lot of times people's initial problem isn't their real problem, or at least what they think there's a problem isn't their actual problem. So getting really good at doing that is a skill set you'll build over time the more problems that you solve. So to get good at this is solve problems, solve problems, solve problems. But Brian, what I would say is like they're giving you pushback about not having a competitive advantage in terms of like your experience. Again, I would say fuck them. Like, don't worry about the opinion of that. Like, I've never written a line of code. Not once in my life have I picked up a computer and written a line of code. But I don't think they legitimately believe that I don't think there's anyone better than myself for someone that's in the early stages of building an app to them to talk to me. Like legitimately, I don't give a fuck who else thinks that they're better. They're not, in my opinion, because I give my honest opinion based off what I hear and based off what I've learned about product development. And developers are actually not even close to as good as me at this because they understand development. They don't understand product necessarily as well as I do. And a lot of times when someone comes to Toll Media, 99% of the time, I push them to something called bubble.io and I go use Bubble. Go use Bubble. It's going to be so much cheaper and affordable and you can move more quickly and go hire a Bubble developer. Don't hire us. So I've learned a lot about product development where I feel very comfortable saying I'm a senior level product manager. So that's where I've fallen personally is in product management, which, you know, that is, I guess, the service that I sell at Toll Media is product management, and our engineers will do like the technical scoping and then run the technical side, but I always handle the product management. So on your end, Brandon, you don't have to be technical in the sense of writing code. You can start getting really good at product development, product management. But the more people you talk to, the more technical experts you get on your team, more people that run the same types of businesses that you're looking to run, you're going to get more and more differing opinions. Of course, someone that runs an agency that probably doesn't have a lot of business acumen is going to say you need to be an absolute expert at like writing code, because that's how they built their business. They wrote code, and that's how they're probably not the. Here's what I've learned about agencies, Brandon, which I think is really interesting, is a lot of agency owners, when I was starting Told Media, I asked them two questions. The first was, do you regret starting an agency? Which was very interesting, because I'd say like 90% of them said yes, because of like how daunting it can be to like have all these clients and doing like client work. And a lot of people, they're like developers, and they were developing like a startup, and then they started doing client work to pay the bills, and then that's how they got into it, and then they do that full time. So they're actually really passionate about developing, not really all the headaches that come along with client work. That's the first thing I asked them is, do you love doing this? A lot of times the answer is no. And these are big agencies, by the way. These are some of the biggest agencies in Philadelphia. The second thing I asked them is, how do you get new business? Actually, that's the first thing. That's like the biggest question I always have is like, how have you scaled your agency? What do you do? And what's funny is every single person's answer is referrals. That is not a sustainable way to grow a business. If the referrals stop coming in, you're screwed. So my point of sharing that is, a lot of the people that are getting into this stuff, they don't actually know how to grow a business. They're very maybe expertise at what they're doing. They don't know how to grow a business, and they could use someone that knows how to grow a business. And that would potentially, they could go from, a 15-person agency to a 50-person agency pretty quickly if they had the right person on their team that could do that. So in that case, Brandon, I wouldn't let that stuff get you down at all. That's how I feel about running an agency, from someone, again, who's not written a line of code, but has been able to position myself in a sense where like I've gotten very, very, very good at product management. You can do the same thing. You don't have to get technical. You have to learn what it is that you're doing at least a high level. If you're going into Shopify development, learn it at a high level, very easy to do. And then you can start giving that expertise advice. You can start bringing on people on calls who can answer the more senior level technical questions in those consultations. Hope that's helpful. But cool stuff, guys. Hey, man, what is up? Instagram. Got some peeps on the Insta. Cool stuff. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them below. In terms of the rent hack, I do want to talk a little bit more about that. So the rent hack, one thing I want to note is I did structure that LLC. That was something I haven't gotten to talk a lot about, but I've gotten a lot of questions about the whole LLC stuff, which was really interesting, by the way. An LLC this is the first time I've structured an LLC myself, and it was super easy to do. Minus navigating through the site, the Texas site. That was pretty crazy. How absurdly ridiculous their site was. But other than that, going and structuring the LLC for the rent hack was like super easy. I just went to my state site, which was Texas, structured the LLC. Then I went to, what's up, the great Andy says hi. What's going on? Then I got my LLC formed as a corporation, and then I got an EIN number. And then I filed a 2553, something like that, to say I was an S corp for tax purposes. So that's what I did before doing that, so I would be protected. So like I signed all this stuff as an LLC just in case something bad happens. Then like I'm not personally responsible. But that was my process for doing all that, because I've gotten so many questions about it. And I'm sure I created a how-to video on it, so we'll cover that more in depth. Kirsten asks, since tomorrow marks 4 months, I didn't even realize that. Jesus. 4 months of the project, what has been your absolute favorite moment so far? That's a good question, Kirsten. Favorite moment? That's a tough question. I think my favorite moment has been probably pulling off the rent hack, because I wanted to do that from the beginning. It was my goal to show everyone how to live rent free. And like, I don't know if enough people realize that follow. I really don't think enough people realize that like a big name of the game is it not about the amount of money you make, it's how you spend money. And by pulling off a rent hack, you can significantly reduce your expenses. Like, guys, you can make $1 million and literally like make $0. Like, you can spend everything you make of that $1 million and not have anything. Or you can make $1 million and save everything. And this is a way to do that. So, so I think that was the biggest, the best moment so far, minus when Isaac gave me a place to live in on the very first day of the project. That was a pretty freaking amazing moment that I'll never forget. But the rent hack, I was expecting to pull off the rent hack month 2. Because of COVID, it was a lot more challenging. So it felt good to be able to pull that off. And Kirsten, the reason I was so excited about that was because I've done this kind of before, but I never had to go get a credit partner and a co-signer to do something like this. And this whole project has been about no fucking excuses. So it makes me happy that people can watch and they can't make excuses. They can't be like, oh, well, he had a good credit score. Oh, well, he had money. Didn't have shit. So I think that's been the best moment for me so far. Chase asked, do you still talk to Isaac? So Isaac is the individual that gave me a place to live on day 1. I lived with him in his RV for like a month and a half. I actually haven't talked to Isaac since I moved out. I've texted him a couple times. He's been a little bit unresponsive. He's in school right now, so I'm sure that he's pretty busy with that stuff, but I haven't really communicated with too much. But I'm really excited to reward him at the end of the project for helping me maybe a little bit earlier, because what he did was pretty amazing. Let's see. We got another question. I ask agency owners about sales as well, and I was given the same information about referrals. Someone told me that cold calls, cold emails, web marketing, etc., is all a waste of time. All right, I'm just going to stop right there. I don't think I have to read any more of this. Whoever you're talking to, I'm assuming this is Brandon. Brandon, whoever you're talking to, cut those people off. They're fucking idiots. They really are. They're absolute fucking idiots. I've never cold called in my life. I would never give advice on cold calling until I started cold calling. And now that I spent time cold calling, I can tell you cold calling absolutely fucking works. Let me repeat that. I never cold called in my life ever. I spent maybe 20 hours worth of cold calling. I lined up 15 appointments for this company, this marketing agency. Now, I'm sure that it matters what you're cold calling about. Like, you have to know what you're cold calling about. I can tell you that 80% of people that I called got on a phone call or answered the phone, were very nice people, and introduced me to whoever the owner was, or they gave me the person's email. So going into cold calling, I was like pumped to just see like, how's this actually work? Let's see how we can do. And it was an amazing experience. I was very surprised at how well it actually worked. So Brandon, you just got to find new people, man. I don't know who the hell you're talking to, but these people are idiots. By the way, when it comes to web marketing, Brandon, I don't have very much experience with that. I do know an agency owner that went to 3 people to, I think, 25 people within a year just with Facebook ads. So again, you got to get new people to talk to, Brandon. Whoever you're talking to is an absolute fucking idiot and does not know what they're talking about, because I can introduce you to a lot of people that'll say the exact opposite. So again, guys, this is a great example of like, be careful who you get as mentors. Like, just because someone got a company to 15 people, 20 people, whatever, I don't know who you're talking to, but whoever they are, I'd be really curious to how they got to where they're at. I'd also be curious, was it a result of someone else on their team? And if you had talked to that person, it'd be a little different. But yeah, bad advice. Cut that person off. You say, I know you focus a lot on adding value in online forums, so I'll be spending a lot of time doing that. Do you have any additional thoughts on landing your first sales? Okay. This is super important. Always add value. Like one of my clients right now, who's one of my favorite clients I've ever worked with of all time at Told Media, of all time. I was not trying to get them as a client. I literally, they like begged us to take them on as a client. I kept saying no because we only work with clients that have a certain budget. And at the time, I didn't think that they had the right budget to work with us. So I was just helping. I was like, hey, we do this stuff. I can help you, point you in the right direction on how to deal with this problem you have. It was all just help. All I wanted to do was help. And that client's been an amazing client. We've been working together for, I think, over a year or about a year now. And Facebook group, found him in a Facebook group. You can find a lot of really cool people also in Slack groups. So like tech Slack groups in local areas. I've gotten a lot of clients doing that. Also, WeWork is amazing. Probably not right now, though. The best investment, listen up, agency owners, the best investment I've made at Told Media was getting office space at WeWork. Not fucking, I don't know, what are the others? Regis, not fucking local small co-working space, fucking WeWork, because they're the biggest co-working space, I would assume, in the world, and they have an online platform where you can communicate with other people at other WeWorks. I've gotten a lot of clients doing that. Now, when you offer any type of business service, you're going to be in a co-working space with people that need those services. So if you just take the time to just say hi, be friendly, offer advice, offer value, help people, good things are going to happen. But the benefits are not just getting clients, which is, I'd say, the biggest benefit. The second biggest benefit is you're going to meet cool people. Like some of my best friends I met at WeWork. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I don't think that many people are at WeWork right now. So you're going to have to wait a little bit until that changes. But I don't know. I haven't been to a WeWork in quite some time. I do remember when the pandemic hit, me and my girlfriend were in Miami Beach. We had moved to Miami Beach for the winter. We're like, Austin's a little too cold. Let's go to Miami Beach. We did that. We got an office in Miami. And when COVID hit, everyone stopped going to the office. And then eventually we did too, because we didn't know like what the deal was. So I'm curious if people are still there. My assumption, having co-working space at this media place that I have now, my assumption is people aren't really going to co-working spaces still. So that's unfortunate, but you just got to wait it out. This next part says you devoted module 3 of your open agency course, which, by the way, everyone, that's a free course on how I built Told Me to $1 million, no upsells, just trying to help you guys. So you have already given me a lot. Thanks for the great info. Of course, my man. Someone says cold calling or cold. Yeah, I'm assuming it says cold calling. So works. I knocked on doors for one of my first businesses, and I made so many contacts as well as business networking. Okay, yeah, he meant to say cold calling. So, it's funny. I was just on a podcast, and I was talking to the person that was interviewing me, and he said, which this is something else I don't have experience with, that cold knocking, I guess, works, going door to door, doing door to door cold sales. That's how he landed some of his first clients. I would never think that would work, but there's a reason people do it, right? I'm sure you have to really have a good thick skin and be able to take rejection well to be able to do those things. I'm sure it would also be really fun. I would love to do something like that. I don't think I'm going to do it during the project, especially during COVID, but I can attest that from the little experience I had, that 20 hours of cold calling, I was able to line up 15 appointments. It works. I think it's pretty cool. But let's put this here. I think the biggest thing, guys, is like really just be confident in yourself. Like think about the people that I'm gonna just say like what you guys have seen probably so many times where people are like, I got rejected, but I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck about the rejection. I didn't give a fuck about the rejection. I didn't care if someone said I couldn't do it. Like that's how business works. Like people are gonna be like, you can't do this. You can't do this, or you can't do it because it's different than the way I did it. It won't work. Are you going to believe that? I think it's important to just go in with absolute massive confidence and not giving a fuck if things don't work out, but you're going to learn. Like maybe they're right about things, right? Like maybe they're like, oh, that won't work. And maybe they're right, but maybe you have to try it for yourself. And again, I think that's why you need to get so many different perspectives minus just a couple. And that's why actually Brandon in the accelerator course that I put together, I make it very clear, do not just get one mentor, because if you did, and I know that you've talked to multiple people, but even with the amount that you have, you need to get multiple perspectives because you're going to have a lot of people that might doubt certain approaches. And it's unfortunate if you get a bad mentor because then you're going to believe all the dumb shit that they say, like cold calling doesn't work. Deirdre asked me, how do you know they're bad? Well, they're bad. Anyone that says cold calling doesn't work, I'd love to know if they've cold called. And if they have, do they suck at sales? Answer is definitely yes. But again, it also matters what you're selling, right? Like I don't think I'm going to cold call. Actually, I don't know. I don't have experience to say like that I couldn't sell told media services because I've never tried to sell. Like the marketing stuff I was selling was like $1,500 to $5,000 packages. So I have experience doing that. I don't have experience cold calling to sell $20,000 a month contracts with told media, but I'm sure that would be pretty effective if I just did the right things and like actually spent time figuring out, okay, it doesn't work if you do these things up front, but maybe I'll test this. So like, yeah, to answer your question. But that's not answering the question. You're talking about cold calling. How do you know if someone's giving you bad advice? Okay, so the question is, how do you know that someone's giving you bad advice? And the answer to that, which is the point of why I was bringing that up, is you need to get multiple mentors. Like if you talk to like 10 people that run 7-figure businesses and they all are like, yeah, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, then maybe think about it a little bit more. But if in your gut you think you're on the right track and you should do it, then always go with your gut. But this is why it's important to get multiple mentors. So then, you know, if one person says it and another person disagrees, then listen to both perspectives. John Wright says they're not able to take rejection. There's a good chance of that. Or they don't know how to write good scripts. Someone asked, and we have about 12 more minutes here and then we're going to wrap up. Well, before I answer that question, Chase says cold knocking works pretty well for the Mormons. I thought that's Jehovah's Witnesses that do that. Okay. Do any of your videos focus on showing how you landed your first sales and how you handled those cold calls for the marketing agency? I think so. I mean, we document everything that happens. So yeah, to get my first clients, I got my first clients off Upwork. The cold calls for the marketing agency, part of the issue there was and we did record it. We put clips of it, but the only problem is like there's like legalities around recording some stuff. So I don't think we felt comfortable enough with putting those calls online. So I don't think we actually like showed the calls. But you know, honestly, I've spent 20 hours cold calling people. I understand sales. I understand the basics of those things to be able to kind of craft messaging and be able to tweak things. But like, I'm sure there's people that are so much better than me that have way better scripts, that know a lot more than I do, that have spent thousands of hours cold calling or hundreds of hours at least. So I would like go on YouTube and look up people that know how to do that if that's something you're interested in doing. John says, never miss an opportunity to talk to someone about your business. It may be your next lead. Definitely agree with that. Someone from Facebook or Instagram asked, do you ever charge different amounts for the same? This is a good question. Do you ever charge different amounts for the same services based on the client? Absolutely, David. If I get a client that I hate, I'm like, this person is going to be so awful to work with, I will charge significantly more. Also, John, sorry, Dave, I'll come right back. John Deirdre says, Deirdre, his language is cleaner tonight because he hears you laughing probably. So get back to David. So yes, I absolutely charge different amounts. This is something that you have to kind of get a little bit of experience with. But for those of you that don't have as much experience with it, maybe just listen to some of the things I'm saying and you can feel these types of things out. If you get a client, you're like, this person's going to be such a hassle, such a headache. I'm at the point where there's a lot of clients where I'm like, absolutely not doing it, not worth it. I just don't like dealing with that stuff. And that's like one of the most important things I think, I don't know if it's talked about a lot or enough, is like once you can like bring in leads, you get to the point where you're like, okay, now it's more being selective and being like, I don't want to deal with these types of people, or I'm not willing to deal with these types of people versus I'm willing to deal with these others. So I think when it comes to charging different amounts for the same services, that is the biggest factor in why I would charge different amounts. Now, David, another thing to consider is I will also consider things like how many developers is someone going to want on a project. I also consider how long are we going to be maybe working with this person. If you're able to go and say like, hey, look, we'll do a reduction in our rate if we sign a 6-month contract. That's a good reason, right? That's a good reason to do that. If you are like, okay, this person's going to need 8 developers instead of 2, then like that's a good reason to or at least, or maybe they'll need 8 in a month, but you're not sure. Well, maybe be like, you know what, let's see how this goes. Maybe you do give them a reduction. So every opportunity needs to be evaluated. I highly believe in that. I'm really big into being careful because a lot of people can like also perceive that there's future opportunity when there may not be, but it's being very careful and selective with like, okay, this person's an investor. They have 30 portfolio companies we could also work with. Maybe I should, do things a little differently with this person. So just be smart about how you evaluate certain things, but also be smart about not getting taken advantage of either. Cause there's people that can do that and some people are good at doing that. And how they word things and make you perceive things. I've definitely seen people try to do that. I'm usually good at sniffing that stuff out though. Do you always sign contracts with clients? Always. Now, David, if you're doing like little stuff where it's like $100 or something like that, like maybe don't sign a contract if you want, especially if they're gonna like do stuff and like give you the money up front. Maybe it's not as necessary, but I think it's important to sign contracts. I don't think there was ever a time at Told Media where we didn't sign a contract. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever not signed a contract. But like the smallest thing we ever did was $600. I would say sign a contract just to protect yourself legally, David. Another thing I'll note is
I can't stop it.
oh, all right, guys, we're gonna have to stop this live stream. It looks like we got a fire alarm going off. At least we're at the very end here. All right, I'm gonna mute it for a sec. It's very loud in here. All right, guys, we're gonna end this. This is still going on. We're almost the hour anyway. So that's it for this week's live stream. If you guys do have follow-up questions, feel free to hit me on Insta. But we're cutting it early today, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Go crush it. I will see you in next week's live stream.